So here's a big question. Can a single book, and maybe just one really specific idea inside it, actually lay out the blueprints to transform an entire nation? Well, that's the powerful question at the very heart of a new proposal we're looking at today, one aimed at the future of Bangladesh. Just listen to this opening line. It's pretty powerful. It comes from a new book that's making some really bold claims. You can feel the tone, right? It's serious, it's urgent. It's basically saying that for Bangladesh, that critical moment is right now.
And yeah, the whole argument of this book is that Bangladesh is right at that crossroads. The idea is that the nation's facing these really deep-rooted problems, the kind that you can't just ignore anymore or slap a temporary fix on.
So, what is this book we're talking about? It's called The Architects of Tomorrow, and it's by an author named Guru Delawar Hussain. And a key thing to get here is that it's not just another critique. It's really presenting itself as a full-on plan, a way to build a totally new future. Okay, so what are these deep-rooted problems exactly? Well, the book's preface lays them out pretty clearly. We're talking about persistent poverty, systemic corruption, social injustice, and, of course, widespread inequality. The argument is that these are the big obstacles really holding the nation back. Now, the way this is framed is really important. The author makes a big point that this isn't just another book complaining about what's wrong. No, it's positioned as a manifesto, even a strategic roadmap. And think about those words, right? They imply action, they imply a clear direction, a real plan for where to go next. And believe me, the destination on that roadmap, it is incredibly ambitious. I mean, the goals here are nothing short of transformative. We're talking about elevating Bangladesh's global position to the same level as countries like Japan or Singapore. And get this, uniting 180 million people with one spirit, one path, and one single purpose. Wow. But that brings up the big question, doesn't it? When you have a vision that's, well, that massive, where on earth do you even begin? How do you take that very first concrete step? Well, the book actually gives a very, very specific answer. It says this huge national project starts super local. It all begins with a police reform initiative called DAFA-8. So the strategy here is actually kind of brilliant. The idea is to start with the one institution that most people have to interact with directly, the local police station, or Thana. The thinking is, if you can fix that one fundamental point of contact between the government and the people, you can literally start to rebuild trust right from the ground up. So what is this DAFA-8 proposal? Okay, it's built on three core demands. First, you get better leadership. The idea is to appoint a highly qualified civil servant, a BCS Cadre officer, to be in charge of every single police station. Second, you make justice easier to get. How? By passing a law that lets people get bail for smaller offenses right there at the police station. And third, well, this is where it gets really interesting. It calls for a radical new rule for accountability. And that whole new system of accountability, it all comes down to one number: 72. As in 72 hours. Okay, so here's the absolute core of the proposal. If someone in your area is reported missing, the officer in charge, or OC, of that police station has exactly 72 hours to find them and bring them back. And if they fail, the consequence isn't some disciplinary review or a slap on the wrist. Nope, it's automatic, immediate dismissal, and they lose all their benefits. I mean, think about the difference for a second. You're going from the current system of, standard disciplinary procedures that can drag on forever to a new system of absolute immediate consequences for failing at one single critical task. That's a huge shift in how you think about accountability. And it's really important to get this. This new rule doesn't replace any of the OC's normal duties. They still have to do all the other stuff: manage the station, investigate crimes, community policing, you name it. This 72-hour rule is just this really powerful new layer of accountability that gets added right on top of everything else. But, and this is a really critical point, there's another side to this coin. The proposal isn't just about punishment. It's very clear that for this to be even remotely fair, the state has to give the OC everything they need to get the job done. We're talking modern equipment, the right level of authority, and enough staff. In other words, you can't have this massive responsibility without the resources to back it up. Okay, so let's zoom back out for a second and see how this all clicks together. This whole DAFA 8 idea, which is so focused on the local police station, isn't just about police reform. It's designed to be the very first step, the cornerstone, really, for that huge national vision we talked about at the beginning. And this brings us right back to that central idea from the book. The author's whole point is that you can't just wish for national unity in a shared purpose, especially not in a climate of mistrust. No, you have to build it. You have to build it brick by brick. And that, right there, is the philosophical connection. The theory is, if an ordinary person can actually trust their local police officer to be that effective, that accountable, to literally find their missing loved one in 72 hours, well, that trust becomes the very first brick. It's the first step in building a state of profound trust across the entire nation. So this local reform is basically the seed for a total national transformation. Which leaves us with one final, really powerful question to think about. Is this the right way to do it? Can this kind of intense, hyper-local accountability, can it really be the key that unlocks a chain reaction of positive change and eventually rejuvenates an entire nation? The book certainly makes the case that it can, but it's definitely a question worth thinking about.